Very good. All right. Call to order July 1, 2021 Zoning Board of Appeals, Town of Fairfield. We're having this meeting held remotely pursuant to both executive orders, which are expired or about to expire, but also the statutes allow us to conduct these hearings in this fashion. I'm going to call to order now our executive session. We have two items on the agenda. The first is approve the minutes from June 3, 2021. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank
Second,
you, Brian. Who seconded?
Daphne?
Thank you, Daphne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, let's bring it to a vote. Say aye and raise your hand if you're in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion carries. Second item is approval of secretary's fees. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Daphne. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, bring it to a vote. All in favor, say aye, or you can raise your hand.
Aye.
All right. Motion, any opposed? Motion carries. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start our call in a minute for the public hearing, but convene the working session of our docket, which are continued to August. The first is on our continued docket item. That's number 2, 654 Tungus Hill Road. That's continued to August. The next item is on our regular docket, number 10, 34 Dalewood Avenue. That's continued to August. And then number 12 on a regular docket, 645 Fairfield Beach Road. That is also continued to our August hearings. So no business will be conducted on any of those items today. And again, I want to remind the people have been joining. Please, when you join, make sure you hit mute because we need to record this and we need to make sure everyone can hear. Sometimes when we have too many people, we get interference, background noise, and it makes it difficult for the board members to hear, which I think is the most important. You want us to hear everything that you say, so please mute. If you're having trouble, let us know, and I will have Mr. Decker, as the host, mute your particular screen, and then just let us know by some motion waving or whatever to unmute you, and we will do so you can speak at that time. I give plenty of opportunity, anyone who's interested in a particular matter. I give lots of time for anyone to come in and chime in, so be patient, don't worry. We'll make sure we hear everyone. Now we're going on to the public hearing. Call to order Zoning Board of Appeals, July 1, 2021. When I call a matter in the beginning, after I'm done making the call, I want the applicant or his or her agent to present your case. If you're having problems, just make sure you let us know if you can't hear, all right? And we will do our best to correct that, or you can sign back in. Don't worry, we will let everyone speak who's interested. After the applicant has spoken, I will, or his agent, I will allow anyone who's interested in the matter to speak. What I will do, since this is different than doing it in person, I will just ask if anyone has any comment, either for or against that particular application. And at that point, you can unmute yourself and let me know, and we will take you in order. Anyone who does speak, please give your name whenever you're speaking, the beginning of the time that you speak. That way everyone knows who is speaking. But it's very important when we do things like this remote that you identify yourself at the beginning of any speaking about any particular matter. If there's any opposition, and after that, I will allow the applicant or his or her agent to then address the comments made in opposition. That is a time for the applicant or agent to address the opposing comments. It's not a time to restate your main issue or request. The meeting is being taped, as I've already stated, and that's required by our state law. It's important that we be able to understand the tape. Only one person can speak at a time. Anyone who does speak must give your name, as I already said. We welcome the comments of anyone who's interested, whether you're for or against it. However, I will exercise my right as chairman to restrict your comments at any time if you are too far off the point. Applicants or interested persons can remain in attendance. We may take a short break for the board members because we're the ones that are reviewing stuff, taking notes. Take a short break, and we will reconvene our working session. At that time, we'll be voting on your particular application or the applications that are put forward today. And in order for that application to be granted, you need a supermajority. You need 4 out of 5. There might be a matter here that only has 4 voting members. In that particular matter, you need all 4 members to vote in favor of your application. A simple majority means that the application has been denied. If for an application for a waiver is granted, it's not going to be valid until it's recorded on our land records in the town of Fairfield. The applicant must bring, or you can send a check in the amount of $60 made payable to the town of Fairfield and bring or send that to the zoning office Wednesday or later following the meeting for proper recording of notice and filing. If you're interested in a particular matter and you cannot hang around until we start to vote and discuss each matter, you're welcome to contact the the zoning office tomorrow to find out what happened on your particular matter. Any waiver involving construction, whether it's a new dwelling, addition, or alteration, will require an as-built prior to issuance of a certificate of zoning compliance and a certificate of occupancy. Again, for anyone who's just joined, I think I saw a chat, but I will repeat. There's a couple continued items. 654 Tunxus Hill Road, number 2 on our continued docket is going forward in August. Number 10, 34 Dalewood Avenue is continued to August, and number 12, 645 Fairfield Beach Road is also continued to August. All right, so if anyone was interested in those, there's no business on those today.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there's a young lady, her name is Sally, had a question in regard to why Tunxus Hill was continued. And I'm just going to state, Sally, if you'd like, you can call my office in the morning and I'll give you an explanation. If you're familiar, if you have a pen available, I can give you my number. It's 203-256-3050. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. All right. As indicated, now the call, continued docket number 2, 654 Tunxus Hill Road, that's continued to August. General docket number 1, 73 Thorpe Street, map 180, parcel 146, petition of Betty Green Gigliotti for a variance of zoning regulations, section 12.3.16 to allow residential use on the ground floor and to exceed 50% of the total floor area, and section 12.7.6.2 to increase the side setback from 0 feet, currently 13.8 feet, proposing 5.4 feet. Permission to construct a 2-family dwelling premises, CDD zone. Attorney Fallon, I believe this is yours.
It is, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, members of the board. For the record, my name is John Fallon. I'm here representing Betty Green, who is in the meeting with us. Also with me today is Mr. Jimmy Zumo, our surveyor and site engineer, and our architect, Mr. William Levy. As you know, the property is located in the Center Design Business District. And after, as I point out in my material, after very careful consideration and discussion with neighbors, Betty considered her options with regard to the development of this property and determined that residential development, in this case 2 units of residential housing, as shown on the plans we've submitted, was certainly superior than a mixed-use project pursuant to section 12.3.16 of the regulations. Although the property is zoned in the Center Design District, when you consider the character of the neighborhood and its primarily residential character, indeed the properties that abut us are in fact duplex housing, it was determined, and I think the majority by far of the neighbors agreed, that a typical mixed-use development would not be desirable. In order to do that, you'd have to utilize Oldfield. You'd have to utilize Thorpe Street for purposes of either a retail or office use. And that's simply not in character with the neighborhood. So Betty made a commitment to utilize residential development for this site without a mixed-use component. In order to do that, we need a variance of section 12.3.16 that would allow us to have residential use of the structure to be built in excess of 50%, in this case 100%, and also to allow residential use on the ground floor of the building. This is a variance that from time to time the board has seen fit to grant where appropriate when the character of the neighborhood is such that the neighborhood would benefit from a purely residential development rather than mixed use. We're also seeking a variance of section 12.7.6.2 in order to allow the side yard on one side property line to be 5.4 feet rather than 0. It's a peculiar regulation that I think the commission is looking at addressing, but we wanted to center the building for aesthetic reasons onto the lot, and that's why we've done that. I'd also want to emphasize that all the other provisions of the zoning regulations are going to be complied with here. The coverage that we propose is 44.5%, less than half of what's allowed in the zone, which is 90%. And the FAR, floor area ratio, is 80.3%. Again, well less than half of the 200 that is permitted, 200% that is permitted. It's an attractive building, as I'll comment on in a minute. It's 2 stories, which again fits very much into the character of the neighborhood. Those of you who sat may remember that this matter came before you, or a matter involving this property came before you at the main meeting. At the main meeting, we were seeking approval of a 3-unit property. That application was denied by a vote of 3 in favor and 2 opposed. The concerns that were raised at the time by the members who voted against approval was, 1, that the overall structure appeared to them to be too large, and 2, there was not adequate provision being made for parking of vehicles in the driveway without interfering with the town right of way. We've obviously come back, I think, with a very good faith effort to address those concerns. As previously indicated, the lot coverage we're now proposing is 44.5%. In the May application, it was 58.6%. Similarly, with regard to FAR, as I said, we are proposing 80.3%, whereas the May application for the 3-family proposed 118.5%. So it's a significantly smaller structure, which allows more space on the lot. And also, you'll note from the site plan that we submitted, we have accommodated the driveway to accommodate a 20-foot parking lane that will not need to utilize in any way the right of way in front of the property. So we hope that you'll agree that not only is this a good application for the town and for the neighborhood, but that we've made a very good faith effort to address the concerns voiced by those commissioners when the application failed on a vote of 3-2. So by way of legal analysis, as you know, under 8-6A3, you have to make 2 findings. 1, that what is being proposed will not in any way have a negative impact on the comprehensive zoning plan, and that 2, there are matters pertaining to the matter in hand that establishes unusual hardship. With regard to the first aspect of the test, I cite in my material the Eaton case.
Excuse me, Attorney Fallon. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, there's someone doing dishes or something. I'm hearing you. Other board members may not be hearing you. Please, everyone, if you're not the applicant or the agent, and you're not me, chairman, please mute yourself, or else I'm going to have Mr. Decker go around and look on every single one and mute whoever is not muted. Thank you. Sorry, Attorney Fallon, for interrupting.
Okay, I hope all the board members were able to hear me up to this point. If anybody was not,
I've been able to hear, but it was just I could tell it was starting to escalate and get louder, and I wanted to nip it in the bud.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. So as I said, by way of context, again, we've come back with a much reduced application that addresses the concerns and considerations that were raised at the May meeting. The building is significantly smaller, and we're accommodating our driveway parking at 20 feet, all without interference with the town right of way. So I have to find that we're not in any way impacting negatively the comprehensive zoning plan and that there is hardship as established by our case law. I cite in my material the Egan case, which provides that if the use to be made when the variance is granted, or if the variance is granted as a permitted use in the zone and consistent with other uses in the area, that in and of itself satisfies the first part of the test. That's most clearly the case here. Residential use is allowed. We're just asking to be able to have it more fully on this property because of the reasons I stated as far as compatibility with the neighborhood. The dwelling, as designed by William Levy, our architect, I think you'll find to be aesthetically attractive. It does harmonize with the character of the neighborhood, and I think it will enhance residential property values. We have submitted a petition through Mr. Decker with regard to this application. I also took the liberty in my email to Mr. Decker to include the petitions that were submitted in the May meeting. The reason I did that is most of the signatures overlap. There were a few people who Betty couldn't reach, although she tried repeatedly, but they had signed the first petition. So it was our hope and assumption that you might agree that if they were in favor of the 3-story or the 3-family structure in May, they certainly, we would hope, would not, and we don't believe have any objection to this much reduced 2-story structure. With regard to the hardship aspect of the matter, you have to find basically that hardship is found in the zoning regulations itself and by the application of the particular zoning regulation in question to the specific facts and circumstances of each case involving the property. Here, I think it's very clear that the strict enforcement of the zoning regulation pertaining to mixed use with regard to the percentage of residential use and ground floor occupancy clearly does create a hardship with regard to the appropriate use of this property in a residential manner, rather than trying to foist a mixed-use building with retail or office on the first floor in what is actually, regardless of how it's zoned, a very nice residential neighborhood. So I think that aspect of application of this particular regulation in this case does create hardship, not only for my client as the owner of the property, but would indeed for the neighborhood. So by way of summary, we're back now with a proposed 2-unit residential development. We believe it's been significantly reduced to address the comments that were raised at the May meeting. We believe it is very much in character with the quality of the neighborhood and the character of the neighborhood, and certainly far less intrusive than a mixed-use residential / office / retail would be. I think the homes as designed by Bill Levy are beautiful. The structure is lovely. It's going to have a good impact on the character of the neighborhood as a whole. And again, Betty's matter of addressing the May comments was to go back and to try to address them very constructively by making significant modifications to the design and the application itself, which we hope you will agree warrants your approval of this new revised application. And be pleased to answer, as would any of our consultants, any questions you might have with regard to this application. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Attorney Fallon. Does the board have any questions for Attorney Fallon or his representatives?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, go ahead.
Just pointing out by way, I want to make sure that I'm recognizing this. I remember one of the objections in the previous meeting was a landscaping plan, there not being a lot of area of exterior living space. It looks like that's been alleviated off the rear of the property. Am I noticing that correctly?
Yeah, excuse me, Commissioner, that was something that we directly addressed again because it was commented on, and we've been able to reduce, as I said, the coverage from what was originally proposed significantly. The original coverage that you saw in May was 58.6%. This is down significantly to 44.5%. Also, this will have to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission as a special permit application, should you see fit, as we hope you will, to grant the variances. And at that point in time, we will be submitting a formal landscaping plan with regard to the proposal. But we certainly will have room to do a nice one now, or certainly more room than we had under the May application.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Having no further questions, is there anyone that wishes to speak to this matter either in favor or against it? Please advise your name. Is there anyone wants to speak in favor or against?
I'm not seeing any hands.
I see,
Although
Betty.
Betty is looking to
Green.
speak.
Betty, that's why you hire me.
You have to unmute
you're
yourself,
still
Betty.
muted, Ms. Gigliotti. Are you saying no more, you don't need to speak?
Okay.
All right. We assume, as a board, that you're in favor of your application. Okay, anyone else, just to make sure?
No,
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman.
Thank you. Sorry, I had a wasp crawling up my leg. I had to take care of that.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. That's number one, 73 Thorpe Street hearing is now closed. Our next item is 158 Robin Lane, map 125, parcel 200. Petition of New Beginning Properties LLC for a variance of zoning regulations, section 5.2.5 to increase the lot coverage from 20%, currently 18.22%, proposing 22.76%. Permission to construct an attached one-car garage premises A zone. Ladies, yes, there you are. Go ahead.
Hello. Hi. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, board members. We are in the beginning. My name is Renata. This is Ivona. So this is the second time we're going through the variance. First time we got denied, and we understand your concerns. The garage was too big for the lot, so now we redesign our plans. It's going to be 16 by 26 one-car garage with loft storage above the garage. Our needs still didn't change. We need space for our cars and for lawn mower, for snow plower, all garden tools. So we're asking for a small increase in lot coverage only. We would also like to keep our cars off the street as much as possible, especially in the winter time when the streets are being cleaned by snow plowers. We're asking for a small increase in lot coverage. And our hardship is that the two garages that we have now, two existing garage, are not made to meet today's standards. We need extra garage to park our cars, like I said before, to keep them off the streets as much as possible. Thank you.
The garage is too small.
Okay, does the board have any questions? Any questions? Okay, hearing no questions. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to this particular application? 158 Robin Lane, either in favor or against the application? Anyone in favor or against 158 Robin Lane? All right, ladies, thank you. The hearing on 158 Robin Lane has been concluded.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is number 3, 294 Colony Street, map 128, parcel 294. Petition of Corey D. and Kaylee M. Child for variance of zoning regulations, section 5.2.4.3 to reduce the sideline setback for an accessory structure from 10 feet, proposing 6.4 feet. Permission to construct a detached garage premises A zone. I think I saw
I'm here, Chairman.
Ms. Chow. Go ahead. Yes.
My name is Kaylee Chow. Good afternoon, Chairman. Good afternoon, board members. I am requesting a variance for the setback. Originally, this had also gone before the board previously and was opposed by 2 members. I also took a look at all the concerns and wanted to make sure that they were addressed thoroughly. We had tried to push over the garage as best as we could. So we're requesting just a variance. It would be proposed at 6 feet 4 inches. And we also had removed the previous variance for additional lot coverage. It's no longer going to be something that would be necessary. The hardship in our case is going to be the unusual topography of the land and the additional fact that it's in a corner lot, so there's two streets that are binding it. In terms of the unusual topography, this is the flattest portion of land where a garage could be put in. We had been asked previously, why a two-car garage? My husband and I both work. We both take our two young children, we have 2 under 2, to daycare. One person takes them to daycare and one person picks up, so we're both going there. We're also close to 95, so in this neighborhood, there's a lot of people unfortunately speeding around, so we're wanting to make sure that we have the safety of the children. Due to the unusual topography of the land, this house was built in the 20s. There's currently not an egress that doesn't have stairs. So for us as well, the garage would be able to provide storage for a stroller to be able to come in easily without having to take it up or downstairs, a lawnmower, etc. We do have the support of our neighbors, particularly the neighbor that's closest to where the structure would be built. And I think that was all the concerns that we wanted to make sure that were previously brought forward.
Thank you, Ms. Chow. Does the board have any questions for Ms. Chow? All right. Hearing no questions. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor or against this application, which is 294 Colony Street? Anyone want to speak in favor or against 294 Colony Street? All right, hearing nothing. The matter on 294 Colony Street hearing is now closed. Thank you very much, Ms. Chow.
Thank you.
Our next item is number 4. It's 1262 Post Road, map 180, parcel 224. Petition of LJG 1262 Post Road, Fairfield, LLC, for a variance of the zoning regulations, section 28.6.5, to reduce the minimum required parking spaces from 75, proposing 59. Permission to establish a medical use within an existing building, premises CDD zone. Attorney Fitzpatrick, this is yours, correct?
It is, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, for the record, my name is Bill Fitzpatrick. I'm an attorney in Fairfield with the law firm of Fitzpatrick, Frey, and Bologna. We have offices at 1735 Post Road. I'm here this afternoon representing the owner of the property at 1262 Post Road, specifically LJG 1262 Post Road, Fairfield, LLC. This property is located on the north side of the Post Road and is the former post office property. Property is located in the Center Design Business District and contains 49,540 square feet. The United States government decided to divest itself of this property at 1262 Post Road in 2012. The purchaser of the property received the necessary zoning approvals to construct or really expand the existing building, make it a retail building. A condition of the sale was that the Post Road facade be retained, and it has been. The special permit approval obtained from the Town Plan and Zoning Commission included a retail use adjacent to the Post Road and a grocery use in the rear of the building. The renovated building is a one-story building with a basement and contains 15,000 square feet. In 2013, the front retail portion of the building, which was then unoccupied, was converted to a restaurant use, specifically the Plan B Burger Bar. As part of the zoning approval process for Plan B Burger, a variance was obtained from the Zoning Board of Appeals, reducing the required parking from 73 spaces to the 59 spaces available on site. Plan B Burger has vacated the portion of the building fronting on the Post Road. The rear 2/3 of the building, occupied briefly by a grocery use, was vacated several years ago. Specifically, that rear 2/3 of the building was occupied by B Fresh Market from November 2015 to May 2016, a total of 6 months, and has sat vacant despite efforts to release the space for the past 5 years. The owner applicant has now entered into a letter of intent with a major healthcare provider to utilize the entirety of the building for medical use. There will be an urgent care center of approximately 3,000 square feet, with the balance of the Property being be used for medical offices, including a men's health program. A medical use is a permitted use in the Center Design Business District via special permit approval pursuant to section 12.3.6 of the zoning regulations. A parking requirement for a medical use is one space for each 200 square feet of gross floor area, with the basement space being excluded from the calculations by regulation. The existing first floor square footage of 15,000 square feet results in a parking demand of 75 parking spaces. There are 59 parking spaces available on site. As a result, the applicant is requesting a variance of section 28.6.5 of the zoning regulations to permit a reduction in the required parking from 75 spaces to 59 spaces in conjunction with the establishment of a medical use. The legal test for the approval of a variance is outlined in the case of Smith v. Zoning Board of Appeals, 174 Connecticut 326, a 1978 case which states, quote, regarding hardship under general statutes, section 8-6, parens 3 and parens, a local zoning board may grant a variance where two basic conditions are met. One, the variance is shown not to affect substantially the comprehensive zoning plan, and two, adherence to the strict letter of the zoning regulation is shown to cause unusual hardship unnecessary to the carrying out of the general purpose of the zoning plan. First part of the test, no substantial effect on the comprehensive plan, is satisfied here where the proposed medical use is a permitted use in the Center Design Business District. The second part of the test, adherence to the strict letter of the zoning regulations, will cause unusual hardship unnecessary to the carrying out of the purpose of the zoning regulations, is satisfied here, I would submit, by several factors. The applicant has entered into an agreement with the town of Fairfield to lease 16 parking spaces at the Sherman Street Municipal Parking Lot to be utilized by 1262 Post Road. The tenant will mandate that these 16 parking spaces will be used for staff parking. The Sherman Street Municipal Lot is within ready walking distance. It's less than 800 feet from the site. As such, this off-site parking fully satisfies the regulatory 16 parking space deficit on site. This availability of reserve parking within walking distance ensures that the purpose and intent of the parking regulations are satisfied. In addition, the proposed medical use is located in the downtown Post Road area. The nature of the development of the downtown area is that many uses have less than the parking required by the zoning regulations on site. Rather, their patrons utilize on-street parking or park in one location and walk to another. Downtown business patrons also can utilize the available day parking, which is available at the Sherman Street parking area. It's also relevant to note that the nature of a medical use is that it does not produce a peak demand at any one time of the day. There is no lunch rush or dinner rush, but rather the demand for parking is spread out over the entire day. Specifically, the hardship here consists of the failure of the zoning regulations to recognize off-street parking, such as the Sherman Street parking lot, and also the failure of the downtown parking regulations to reflect the changing economy, where they have a lower parking demand for retail than for medical office. The stricter parking requirements for medical office, when compared to retail, no longer make sense under existing economic conditions, particularly where there's a reduced demand for retail space. Approval of this location ensures that a valuable medical resource contributing to the health and wellness of the town of Fairfield community is readily available. In addition, approval of this application permits the full occupancy of a space which has had significant vacancies. Having an empty retail building in the center of downtown is not healthy for our downtown. For the reasons I've outlined, I'd request this application be approved. A representative of the landlord, Mr. John Greenspan, is here on this call with me, and he and I would be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Attorney Fitzpatrick. Does the board have any questions for Attorney Fitzpatrick or Mr. Greenspan? Daphne, yes, go ahead.
Yes, hi.
Un-
Muted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I think we've all been at urgent cares before, and you really never know when they're going to get crowded. They're kind of crowded or they're not. So, there tends to be a surge. So I'm not usually that concerned with these kinds of cases with reduced parking spaces, but in this case, I am concerned because when people are coming through a medical facility, sometimes they're hurt or they're sick, especially in the case of an urgent care situation. I appreciate that you have these 16 spaces offsite, and somebody's not on mute, so everybody else, please mute yourself. Thank you. So I'm wondering if you can tell me how many employees you have planned for this facility. Do you have more than 16?
I don't have the answer to that, Ms. Dixon.
So I'm concerned. So I'm wondering, so I want the best for the town. I know the place has been vacant for a long time and we don't want that, but we also want to be sure that, whatever goes in there makes sense and is good for everybody. It would be really important for me to know how many employees you have and to know exactly where they're going to park so I can feel comfortable that the folks that are coming to urgent care, which you never know when you're going to get a big rush of people, right? That those people who are sick or injured or hurt coming to the urgent care or the other medical facilities don't have to worry about parking, because I think we all know when we go to a doctor and we're sick, the last thing you want, especially if the weather is bad, you don't want to be scrambling around for parking or slipping or anything if you're already injured. So I'm just concerned we don't know how many employees there are, and how that is going to impact those parking spaces and how you're really going to ensure the employees wouldn't park there. It seems it's a little problematic for me.
I would the only point I would make is there are 59 spaces on site. 59 is a lot of automobiles. And, it's premature at this point for even the projected tenant to be able to tell me specifically what the breakdown of the remainder of those medical offices is going to be. But 59 spaces plus on-street parking, plus, quite frankly, if it's off hours, there's brick walk parking. There's a lot of parking lots available for people who need parking. I really don't think there would be a difficulty.
Well, I'll just repeat, like with the urgent care, there's no such thing as off hours. You never know when they're going to be crowded.
I'd be happy to comment on behalf of ownership. This is John Greenspan with David Adam Realty, a representative of the landlord. Definitely a good question. In terms of this, what's unique of the 1262 property, the former U.S. Post Office property, is that it's dedicated, those 59 spaces are dedicated 100% for this use. It's entire parking lot, which is rare, given a lot of other uses in downtown of multiple tenants with multiple demands on space. For example, there's plenty of examples that I'm sure you're aware of. In terms of the urgent care, it's a smaller, it's a 3,000 foot component, so it's 20% of the overall square footage is dedicated to urgent care. The rest is traditional medical office, which is both the urgent care service, like a service medical and medical office, obviously are both allowed in the zone. And there's extensive medical offices throughout downtown.
Mr. Chairman, I had one question or caveat.
Go ahead, Brian.
Is there consideration for handicap parking so there would be no reduction in handicap parking, so that requirement would be satisfied where the total number, regardless of the total number of spots in the lot?
Well, there will absolutely be handicap parking in these spaces on site and fully adequate handicap spaces.
Right. So someone can clarify it for me. There's a requirement for handicap spaces per either square foot or per per tenant. So if
I
those are
think-
satisfied, then that makes sense to me,
I
regardless of
think
the
it's on a
overall.
per square foot basis, and in addition, if it turns out to be that there's a greater demand, it makes perfect sense for this tenant to strike further spaces as necessary. You certainly want to accommodate all the handicap parking that's demanded.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I'm not quite done. I'm sorry. So these types of facilities, urgent care and medical offices, they do require a lot of staffing. So you said that, there's not leases, so you don't know who's going to go in there. But I think I think if you're putting this plan out there that you want to have this urgent care and lease to medical companies, service providers, there should be some way for you to know. There are a lot of smart people out there that could estimate how many employees that it's going to take to run those different offices, an estimate, and then to determine where all those employees are going to park and have a plan for that. Even if it's an estimate. So it's way more than 16. So you've got that for the 16, and these other people, you kind of mentioned some things, but it doesn't seem like you've really considered the impact of the staff that's going to be required to run that and where they're going to park to ensure that those 59 spaces really do go towards the people that need it most, and that it's not going to impact the rest of downtown.
The parking requirement is set forth in the zoning regulations for medical office. And, they set that figure. The applicant doesn't. That figure is 73 spaces. We are accommodating any shortfall. All we're accommodating with the off-site parking is the shortfall.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's 75 and 59. We're accommodating the shortfall. There is still 59 spaces on site for not only people coming to visit or urgent care. And again, the urgent care is 3,000 square feet out of 15,000 square feet, or 20% of the facility, a small proportion. And that parking ratio that the town utilizes takes into account both employees and people utilizing the facilities. That's the way the parking is parking requirements are put together, and that's what it represents. I
Thank
think
you.
it's adequate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from the board? All right. Hearing no other questions, is there anyone that wishes to speak to this application, 1262 Post Road, either in favor or against the application? Anyone in favor or against 1262 Post Road? All right, no comments, no one coming forward. Thank you, Attorney Fitzpatrick.
Thank
The
you.
hearing is now closed on 1262 Post Road. Next item that we have is 334 Roland Road, map 182, parcel 100. Petition of Amy Higgins for a variance of zoning regulations, section 5.2.4.3, to reduce the side and rear setbacks for an accessory structure from 10 feet, currently 2.1 feet and 11.8 feet, proposing 2.1 feet and 4 feet, permission to construct a detached two-story, two-car garage premises, A zone. And the board should remember that we did receive some notes in opposition, and I think some of them may be on the call. I see Attorney Green, I see Mr. Smith as well. All right, Ms. Higgins, if you're presenting that, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello, board members. I'd like to talk with you about my requirements for my variance on my detached garage. I live on a non-conforming lot. My intention is to tear down my existing non-usable garage, which is too small to fit our vehicles and is a hardship for us in its current size and its shape. In its place, I plan to build a FEMA-compliant two-story structure with a home office, a bonus room to act as a makeshift classroom and workspace, and a small bathroom along with a small gym above the storage to replace the existing shed that I have there. As this garage is likely as old as my home, which is built in 1938 or thereabouts, it isn't wide enough to support vehicles built today. My car is loaded up with dings and scratches from trying to squeeze into the garage, and my husband has never been able to park his truck inside, which is a hardship during the winter months. Due to age and the bottom boards rotting, which leaves the structure open to a host of animals who use it more than we do on occasion. And it's unsafe to have these animals around my young child. This garage in its current state and form is really a major hardship to our family because of its utility. As part of the planning process, we looked at how our lifestyles had changed in the last 16 months, and we began planning for unforeseen events beyond COVID. Our modest home became an additional 2 offices, a gymnasium, and a classroom for our daughter who's heading into kindergarten next year. And it was really unsustainable. We looked at other options before applying for this variance, namely moving the structure to the back of the property and or making it smaller. The issue with moving it to the back of the property, as you can see in the materials you have from the survey, is the property narrows to only 40 feet in width at the back of the property. And it has a 5-foot jog into my property on the right side as you look back, and a 20-foot jog on the other side. So it's not really possible to do something like run a driveway down the entire length and still fit a structure. Second hardship there is that there is no utility access to the back of the property. My property line in the back is essentially the front yard of my neighbor. So the street Dwight ends far earlier than my backyard. So there's no access there. So in trying to move it, it really couldn't fit. And we looked at this with our architect for a long, long time. I also looked at, as you can see, the structure is standard size, right? So there's no extravagances on the actual standard structure. It will fit 2 garages. It's a basic, I think it's 26 by 24. And the proposed area above is only 7.5 feet taller than what exists there today. So I'm not building a very high structure from that perspective. It's just the basics here. And with the second floor gym above the storage, that is set back from the property well more than 7 feet, also shaded by 3 large maple trees and a fence. So there will be hardly any notice to that structure at all in the back from my neighbor's point of view. Additionally, as part of our due diligence, we asked our architect to do a bit of a sun study where we took photos from the current garage roof at the closest point to the property line, just to see where the sun and the shadows fell, to be mindful of our immediate neighbors and their pool. I forwarded the live action photos so you can see the east to west traverse of the sun and its height in the sky when near the new garage. So you'll have absolutely 0 impact to their pool. Their pool is shaded in the late afternoon by the 3 existing maple trees behind my garage on my property. In circulating our architectural plans, well, to be fair, in circulating our architectural plans, we, 3 out of the 4 of our neighbors shared with us that they thought it was a great design. They thought it would not, do anything but increase their property values and be in line with the neighborhood. Right now, there are, I want to say, 4 properties just in my block of Roland. So between Quincy and Paulding, there are 4 addresses with 2-story detached garages. One is actually in process of being built right now, 5 doors down from me. That's number 278 Roland, same side of the street. And they are currently building a detached 2-story garage structure. So as I'm, as I'm looking into this design, we're really not seeking to increase the lot coverage. We're not increasing the total floor area. We are not cutting down any trees, and we're leaving an immense amount of greenscape here. So these are clear indicators that we are not overbuilding on our property. I communicated with one of my neighbors who opposed my new plans, and they were told that the trees would all be removed on my fence line to accommodate this new structure. This is 100% false, and it's created another undue hardship on my application based on inaccurate information being distributed. The trees I reference are the 3 tall maples that Mr. Markells has included in the background of his photo. That's the opposing documentation. The one where he's showing us he keeps a tidy pool because he has a pool skimmer. The skimmer, which looks to be closer to 30 feet than 20 feet in height, shows clearly the 3 tall maples that I'm referencing and the fact that there will be a lot of coverage of the new structure by those maples. I worked those into my design so we would keep them. But we'll never actually know the relevance of his photo because those trees, you know, I'm just using them to cover the back half of the garage. But if you note the design in your materials, there's only 3 small windows that face his side of the property, and they are high walled, they crank out. So I have no intention to invade his privacy or his harmonious peace in any way with viewage. I can't see for in that part. So, you know, I really want to keep peace and have a pleasant design and a non-invasive, you know, situation over there. To be fair though, I'm not asking for anything more than what other neighbors and residents have asked for and have received in the past. In fact, as I mentioned, the 5 homes, I can tell you all the numbers. They are 245, 278, 255, and 381 Roland Road, all only in my block. There are, you know, that's where I took my inspiration, was from number 381, which went in the last couple of years. Their garage, I essentially mimicked their design. And of the roughly 5,000 homes in the beach area, between Reef and Beach, there are easily 1% with detached garages and second floors. So in closing, I just would like the commission to be mindful of the 5 things that I hope you would consider. 1, current situation. My current old garage is a hardship in its current form, given it's too small for vehicles, offers no adequate storage, and really can't keep out wild animals. Number 2, lot coverage. My challenges are that my lot and my current structure are both currently non-conforming, along with all the other detached garage structures on Roland. My proposal's in line with what exists currently, as well as what's been asked for and received in the past from my neighbors, including what is currently under construction at 278 Roland. Height. The new proposed height is only 7.5 feet higher than the current structure, and its peak is more than 15 feet off the Markells fence line, hence those irrelevant photos. They don't show 15 feet off the line. We're not seeking to increase lot coverage or total floor area, and indicators that we are not overbuilding. My new structure has been designed with minimal windows on the side facing Markells, and they will continue to enjoy their privacy. Number 5, sun blockage. In concert with my architect, an informal study showing 0 impact on the sun and shade that their pool receives today based on east-west reverse has been sent to you. And number 5, green coverage. This is a really important part for Fairfield, as I know. We're leaving an immense amount of green space and taking down 0 trees with this new FEMA compliant design. We worked hard to create something the Conservation and Development Board had envisioned for our neighborhood, while still adding functionality and value to our property. Thank you for listening.
Muted myself. Thank you, Ms. Higgins. Does the board have any questions for Ms. Higgins? Any questions? All right, hearing no questions. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor or in opposition to this? I know that we have Attorney Green and I think we have Mr. Smith in opposition. Is there anyone else in favor or in opposition? Anyone else? Have you two decided who goes first?
I'm happy to yield to Mr. Smith.
All right, thank you, Attorney Green. Mr. Smith, go ahead.
No, just go. As I mentioned in my notes, we're concerned this is a fairly large structure in a residential neighborhood. I know there are existing 2-car garages in the neighborhood. I wasn't aware when they were put in, but this matter has come to my attention. It seems like it's going to be a significant size structure in a neighborhood that has already lost a very large number of trees over the past several years. Another very large tree was taken down today that was dead. So the neighborhood already feels a fair amount more crowded and much more densely populated than it did previously. I understand COVID has kept everyone at home, but nonetheless, the neighborhood is more crowded and busier than before. And it seems that this structure seems to be rather sizable and rather close to the lot line. And if there's regulations for setbacks, I'm not sure why they shouldn't be followed.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Attorney Green, are you ready?
I'm ready. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, staff, my name is Joel Green. I practice law in Bridgeport with the law offices of Green and Gross. I appear before you this afternoon on behalf of Mark and Barbara Markells, who live next door at 324 Roland Road. My clients want to be good neighbors, and generally they have no problem with the applicant curing some of the issues that the applicant has described regarding the use of her property. But this plan is just too intense a use of the property. I had submitted a letter and some materials to the board, and I'll go through it very briefly because I know you're familiar with a lot of these principles. But I think it would probably, I think I can move this along more quickly by addressing the points that Ms. Higgins made in concluding her application. And the first issue that the applicant raised was that the current situation is problematical because, in just one moment, I'm having a little technical glitch here. I hope you can still hear me and see me, but I'm having trouble seeing you. But
we can hear you.
So the first issue that was raised is that the current situation is problematical and that the garage is too small. And I guess my answer to that, and I'm just looking at the plan, is that the present garage can easily be expanded to the southeast. At present, I should note that the garage is just 2 feet off my client's property. But if the applicant wants to increase the size of the garage, that shouldn't really be a problem if the applicant expands it to the southeast. It would involve reducing the size of the proposed pool deck or reducing the size of the proposed pool, but the applicant can certainly expand the garage and widen it if the applicant chooses. Next is the issue of lot coverage, and I think what number 2 was lot coverage, and I think what the applicant meant to say was that they are not asking for a variance on lot coverage or area, but obviously this is a larger structure, so certainly the lot coverage is increasing. So I just, and it may be zoning compliant, but I just wanted to get to that. In terms of the height and the increase in height, well, that does become an issue because at present, you're increasing the height of a non-conforming structure that is just 2 feet off the property line. I will get to that as a legal matter in a moment. The sun blockage is kind of an irrelevant matter, and certainly it may be a motivating factor for my clients, but it doesn't really come within, certainly it's not a factor that this board would consider in making a decision. And green coverage, kind of the same way. So the larger argument here is that the applicant is taking a property that is certainly non-conforming in many respects with our zoning regulations. But the fact of the matter is the property is readily usable. The property at present has an existing home, a patio, a sport court, a garage, and it's an attractive property. So we start in a place where there's nothing about the imposition of the zoning regulations that creates undue hardship here, because by definition, the property is usable. Now, I recognize that the applicant may desire to use the property in a different way, but as you know, the law doesn't really honor that in terms of variances. And that's not the standard. And it's not about what a property owner may want or desire. And I know that this board would like to grant a lot of things that that applicants might want, but unfortunately that's not what the law permits. But anyway, the applicant wants to take the existing garage and build obviously a much larger 2-story structure with workspace, storage, closet, bathroom, kitchenette, gym, all these things. And unfortunately, it's just, while that may be achievable, it can't be achievable in this location with this plan. So there's 2 cases I want to talk to you about. The first is the E&F case. And as you recall, E&F involved the building on the corner of Sanford Street and Route 1 where Be Good was. And the applicant wanted to expand that property. And it's on a corner lot, but clearly the building exists within setbacks and it's non-conforming. And the point of that case largely was that a vertical expansion of a non-conforming structure is not permitted. And we actually went to the Supreme Court on that, and the court clearly stated that the vertical expansion of that building was not permitted under the zoning regulations. And that is precisely one of the things that the applicant is proposing to do here, in that they're proposing to increase the height of the garage that's just 2 feet off the property line. The other case I wanted to talk to you about is McGuire, which you may recall involved a property down on Pine Creek Avenue. And in that case, the property again was encroaching in a side yard setback. And actually that was a front yard setback. And the applicant proposed to build a larger home and to sort of expand horizontally a house that was non-conforming because of its encroaching on the front setback. And in that case, the court, and that was a Superior Court decision, the court ruled, and with ample case support, that the horizontal expansion of the non-conforming portion of the building represented an impermissible expansion of a non-conforming structure. So while we've talked about a lot of details here, that these 2 cases illustrate exactly what the applicant is doing here, expanding vertically and expanding horizontally a non-conforming structure. And once again, the applicant could build a larger garage. The applicant could create a building that has a lot of these features, but the applicant might have to relocate their pool. I mean, I can't do the geometry and figure out where that would be, or whether but certainly the sort of the things that the applicant has expressed in terms of problems or functionality of the property could be addressed in a different way. I'm not sure what the architects have said or what, the exercises that the applicant has gone through, but the fundamental point is that the applicant cannot, under this set of facts, demonstrate a hardship that would justify a variance here. There were some issues with the application and the drawings, but I don't think that they're necessarily important and wouldn't prevent this board from acting. I don't know if you have any questions at this point.
Is there any questions for Attorney Green or Mr. Smith? Okay, hearing no questions. Is there anyone else in favor?
I want to thank you for your patience and attention, as always. Thanks.
Sure. Is there any, oh, yes, Katie, sorry. You're muted.
I have a quick question with regards to the survey. What is a temporary stockpile area?
I was told that I needed to use that for materials. As the earth is being dug out for excavation, they have to have locations to put, yeah, no problem. Sure.
Okay.
That goes away.
Anyone else in favor or opposition to this matter, 334 Roland Road? Okay, Ms. Higgins, you have an opportunity to address Mr. Smith and Attorney Green. Comments.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Wonderful. So I would like to first address the cases that are referenced here. Both of them are for 2015. That's 6 years ago. So much has happened to our town and to all towns in 6 years that I find some of their rationale might have been changed in light if these were cases that have come up in the last couple of years. Also, one case was referencing a building, not a home. And the second one represented a front yard setback, not a side yard setback. So not exactly the same thing and quite a bit antiquated as far as that goes. So that's just my rebuttal to that. Also, I feel like I have definitely demonstrated a hardship. I cannot park my husband has never parked his car in our home ever. We have animals that get into it. There's only so far the home can go over into the property before then I have to make half my backyard a driveway. And the reason that this is a hardship to begin with, and I really worked hard. I worked hard with Matt in zoning extensively. I worked hard with my architect. I worked hard with my builder to try and understand what would be the least intrusive possibility I could have. And I didn't even have a lot of possibilities merely because Mr. Green, your client's property line jogs in 5 feet into my yard, right behind my garage. So I really had no options. It became non-conforming right off the bat because my property is simply non-conforming. So my hardship starts with my property, and it also it ends with the fact that I have, a nearly unusable space that I should be able to make into a FEMA compliant design that can benefit my family and benefit the town and the property. So that's really, I do believe I've demonstrated a hardship greatly for this in many ways. And I am also trying to preserve what Fairfield's intentions are, which is to maintain green space. I also find that it's in line with the existing garages. If you look down the line to the left or to the right, all the garages except your client's, Mr. Markel, who built a 2-story, 3-car garage on his property right next door to me. All of the other properties are in line as far as garages are built on the structure. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Higgins. Okay. Did anyone have a question for Ms. Higgins on that reply? All right, hearing none, the hearing on 334 Roland Road is now closed. Thank you very much for everyone who participated in that hearing. Our next item is number 6, 1240 Fairfield Beach Road, map 184, parcel 78, petition of Joseph Fexco for a variance of the zoning regulations, section 11.3, to reduce the minimum lot size and lot square from 9,375 square feet and 50 square feet, currently 8,614 square feet and 24 square feet, proposing 2,893 square feet and 24 square feet, and section 2.7 to reduce the street frontage from 50 feet, currently 24.99 feet, proposing 24.99 feet, permission to establish a lot with an existing single-family dwelling premises BD zone. And I think, was there going to be someone speaking on behalf, or was this the owner speaking?
No, this is, I'm Kevin Gumper, Mr. Chairman, and I think you have.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
You have to call number 7 as well. These two are twin applications, 6 and 7 go together.
Okay, if you want that, I'll call them. It makes sense.
Unless I dozed off and you called both, I think. You got to call 6 and 7 at the same time, I believe, because you can't grant one without the other.
I did not call them both, but if you're going to make a point as to one as opposed to the other, please do so.
No, it's.
Yep. Number 7,
They're
1241 Fairfield Beach Road, map 184, parcel 78, petition of Joseph Fexco for a variance of the zoning regulations, section 11.3, to reduce the minimum lot size and lot square from 9,375 square feet and 50 square feet, currently 8,614 square feet and 24 square feet, proposing 5,721 square feet and 24 square feet, and section 2.7 to reduce the street frontage from 50 feet, currently 24.99 feet, proposing 24.99 feet. Permission to establish a lot with an existing single-family dwelling premises BD zone. Attorney Gumper, go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, for the record, I'm Kevin Gumper. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Houlihan, Gumper and Dowling, practicing here in Fairfield. With me today is Mr. Fetchko. He's right in my office. He's not on a separate screen, but he is listening with open ears to what's going on here. Looking at these two applications, it looks like we're asking for a lot of different things. Actually, there is no construction here. All it's being asked for is to be able to have the property that's on the creek side be a separate lot property that is on the sound side. The lot presently, this lot dates back to 1940, and its predecessor dates back to 1896. Originally ran from the Sound and still runs from the Sound all the way across the, Fairfield Beach Road to the creek. There is a house on the Sound side. It's been there since 1928. There's a house on the creek side. All right. And that's been there, according to the assessor's records, since 1900. The two are separated by Fairfield Beach Road, which we, for zoning purposes, consider not to be a road, but just a right of way. And therefore, it's one separate lot instead of two lots. Mr. Fetchko is not proposing to do any construction whatsoever. He just wants to be able to have his house, which is on the beach, be a separate lot and house from the house and lot, from the house that's on the creek side, which would be a separate house and lot. To explain the numbers a little bit, because it looks like drastic reductions here. The entire lot, as it now exists, has that 8,614 square feet. What we're proposing to do, if it were granted, is that the lot on the beach side would have 5,721 square feet, and the lot on the creek side would have 2,893 square feet. Those two taken together add up to the 8,614 square feet. We have a hardship in that you have Fairfield Beach Road, which separates this into two lots for all practical purposes except for zoning. The zoning regulations themselves will not be harmed in any way. The purposes of the zoning regulations not be harmed in any respect or violated in any respect by doing this, because all you would be allowing the house that's on the creek side to be sold as a separate lot from the house that's on the beach side. Now, I know there's been some opposition to this. Let me go through this. The one neighbor on what I would call our east side was approached by Mr. Fetchko, and there's a little confusion there among who's authorized to speak for whom, since the owner's a very elderly woman. Her daughter did not feel authorized to speak for her. On the other side, there is one neighbor that is on the beach side, or I say the beach, the Sound side. The owner of that lot recently died, and it's, again, there's confusion among the heirs as to who has allowed to speak, so no one was willing to sign off on this. And then there is also a neighbor on the west side that butts the creek parcel on the west side, Dorothea Brennan, who wrote a letter in opposition to the board, concerned that this would set a precedent. And Dorothea Brennan's an old friend of mine. I do not want to be attacking her in any way, but I think she's mistaken as to what's going on here. She's concerned about there being a precedent set which would allow other lots that are now vacant on Fairfield Beach Road that are on the creek side, vacant lots on the creek side of Fairfield Beach Road to be separated off, which the board has generally been very reluctant to do. In this case, however, this is not a vacant lot. This lot already has the house on it. What you see is what you get. That's all that can be built there. It's a very small it's a small lot. It's only 25 feet wide. It's been 25 feet wide since 1940. Nothing else can be built there except for what's there now, a small house of 1,050 feet. more on precedents. The zoning board really is not bound by precedents. You can make one, every matter comes before the zoning board, has to stand on its own 2 feet and be judged on its own merits, not on the merits of what happened before. Finally, if you were going to look at precedents, you would say, well, Dorothea Brennan's house is a separate lot on the creek side. And why should she be able to have her house be a separate house and a separate lot in separate ownership and not Mr. Fetchko? And her house was only built in 1998. And they all these lots here they are all derived from the same map that was put together in 1896 and then recorded in 1903. So nothing, it just, when the maps were drawn, the world was a different place. And Fairfield Beach Road was probably just a dirt trail or a rutted trail going down. But right now, the reality of the situation is you have a busy street separating these two properties or these two houses, and they should be able to be treated as two separate houses. You won't be setting any precedent. You won't be allowing Mr. Fetchko to do anything that he can't do right now, and on either lot. And that's basically what we have. And I'll point out, I did comment on what the purposes of zoning are, and under the regulations, the reason you adopt the zoning regulations are to lessen congestion in the streets, for safety from fire, panic, flood, and other dangers, to promote health and general welfare, adequate light and air, prevent overcrowding, avoid undue concentration, facilitate the adequate provision of transportation, water, sewage, etc. None of those are served by keeping these as two separate, none of these are served as by keeping this as one single lot. The houses are already there. It's not going to increase congestion. It's not going to increase anything. And finally, under your own regulations, you discourage two dwellings on one lot, which is what we have now. If you were to grant this, you'd have one dwelling on one lot on the south side and one dwelling on one lot on the creek side. I think it would be more in keeping with the general scheme of what you want down on Fairfield Beach Road. And it would benefit Mr. Fetchko, and it wouldn't hurt anybody, and it wouldn't impact your regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Gumper. Okay, Mr. Smith, I was just about to ask you you muted yourself. We're getting feedback. Does the board have any questions for Attorney Gumper? But before we do that, let me just make sure I'm clarified. I think I know, but I want for the record to be clear. Number 1240 Fairfield Beach Road, that's the creek side, correct?
That is correct. That's the creek side.
And 1241 is sound side.
Yes. And straight, just as an aside, I'll point out, in the map from 1896, there was almost more land on the creek side than there was on the beach side. So I don't know what happened. It must obviously Pine Creek had been moved at some point. So now it's only a couple of thousand square feet, and it used to go almost 100 feet. Doesn't anymore.
That's Mother Nature for us.
Or the Army Corps of Engineers, one or the other.
With a little help from Mother Nature, maybe. Does the board have any questions for Attorney Gumper? Yes, Katie.
And just to clarify, and I'm familiar with these properties. So even though there are two separate addresses, there's two separate tax bills, they're still considered one lot.
For zoning purposes, yes.
Okay. Two separate tax bills.
Two separate tax bills, two separate addresses.
Utilities.
Separate everything. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Katie beat me to it.
On my screen, I just lost Mr. Coyne.
Yeah, he's just a little technical difficulty there, Mr. Gumper.
Ryan,
He'll be right back.
Okay. All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. But now you're frozen. And now you're gone.
All
You're frozen again?
At least he's smiling this time.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna buy the chairman some new routers and a new laptop.
All right, can everyone hear me?
No.
Must be a band of weather coming through up there.
Or anyone that was being against, please do not call.
You didn't come through, Mr. Chairman. Still not coming through, Mr. Chairman.
Is there anyone or 441?
Got it. He's asking if there is anyone for or against.
How about
Doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like it, Mr. Chairman.
okay?
Oh, boy.
Gonna shut down and power back up.
Oh, boy. It could be, yeah. Man, I don't know where it is.
Matt, would he have the option to just call in?
He could, yes, but I think he's just trying to reboot at this moment.
I was just thinking ahead in case that didn't work.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there we go.
All right, yeah,
Perfect.
my wife came to my rescue with a hot
There we
stove.
go.
Nice.
All right, as I was saying, Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor or against these two matters, 1240 and 1241 Fairfield Beach Road? Okay, hearing none. The hearing now on these two matters, 1240 and 1241 Fairfield Beach Road, is now closed. Thank you very much, Attorney Gumper.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Next item is number 8, 714 Valley Road, map 28, parcel 301, petition of Summit Investment Properties LLC for a variance of zoning regulation, section 5.2.4 to reduce the secondary street line on a corner lot from 22 feet, currently 2.9 feet, proposing 2.9 feet, permission to construct a second floor addition, premises R2 zone. And I think we had a representative from Summit Investment Properties going to present that, correct?
Yep. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name's Alex Moses. I'm the sole member of Summit Investment. So looking to get a variance granted for 714 Valley Road. It's a non-conforming structure, pre-existing. It is a corner lot, and the current setback from one corner is 2.9 feet. And not proposing to further encroach in any way or to worsen that, simply looking to build vertically on top of that. And the other setback is well within reason. Its minimum is 30 feet, and it's proposed 56.5 feet. So it's really just that one pre-existing corner that is the main issue. And the proposed structure is not looking to overbuild in any way, only utilizing 23.1% of the allowed 30% building envelope for square footage, and 13.5% of the allowed 15% for structure. So I feel it's fairly straightforward, and everything presented, conforms with the neighborhood and the harmony of the neighborhood as far as design. So if you guys have any questions for me, I'd be more than willing to answer them at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Moses. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Moses?
Just to clarify, it sounded like you're asking for two variances, but in the call it's just saying one. So I was just, maybe I'm not reading this right, but
No, just the one variance, Stephanie, for the 2.9 foot.
okay, I must have misheard you because I thought it sounded like two, but when I'm reading it and looking at it, it looked like one, but I
No, just one.
was
I may have misspoke.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Moses? All right, hearing no other questions, is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor or in opposition to this matter, 714 Valley Road? Hearing none. Mr. Moses, thank you. The hearing now on 714 Valley Road is closed.
Thanks so
Appreciate
much
it.
for your time.
Next item is number 9, 340 Riverside Drive, map 130, parcel 114. Petition of Christine Hanna for a variance of zoning regulations, section 5.2.4 to reduce the side and sum of two sideline setbacks from 7 feet and 25 feet, currently 4.2 feet and 19.5 feet, proposing 4.2 feet and 20.5 feet, permission to construct a rear shed dormer, premises A zone, and I believe Ms. Hanna is presenting this.
Yes. Hi. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and the board members. I wish to add a dormer constructed to the second floor of the existing structure on the existing footprint. I have a pre-existing non-conforming dwelling in the A zone with minimal required lot size of 9,375 square feet and a 75-foot square, while my existing dwelling is currently, my lot consists of a 9,375 square, I'm sorry, my lot is 8,666 square feet and a 50-foot square. So my existing dwelling is currently 4.2 feet to the side where it's required to be 7 feet. So I'm looking to get a hardship because we're looking just to add a little headspace and a second bathroom to maintain our same structure though, to stay within our same home.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Does the board have any questions for Ms. Hannah? Hearing no questions. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor or against this application, 340 Riverside Drive? Okay. Hearing no one in favor or against, the hearing on 340 Riverside Drive is now closed. Thank you very much, Ms. Hannah.
Thank you.
Number 10, 34 Dalewood Avenue has been continued. Our next item to take up is number 1166 Lucille Street, map 74, parcel 39, petition of Craig and Lisa Massaro for a variance of zoning regulations section 5.2.5 to increase the lot coverage and total floor area from 15% and 30%, currently 13.4% and 29.2%, proposing 19.1% and 31.3%. Permission to construct a rear one-story addition with raised patio, premises R3 zone. Mr. Keatle, I think you're presenting this.
Yes, I am. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Steve Keatle, architect, 49 Beardsley Parkway in Trumbull, Connecticut. I am here to present on behalf of the homeowners, Craig and Lisa Massaro, who reside at 66 Lucille Street in Fairfield. The property is in an R3 zone, minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet. The existing size of the lot is 14,258 square feet. We are petitioning for a variance to section 5.2.5 to increase lot coverage and total floor area from 15% and 30% currently, proposing 19.1% and 31%. Permission to construct a rear one-story addition with raised patio. Our hardship is that we are in an R3 zone requiring 20,000 square feet, and the existing is 14,258. To put this in perspective, the addition we propose, including the raised patio in a regulation size lot, would be 13.7% building area and 22% building lot coverage as a percentage of lot area. So it would comply in a regulation 20,000 square foot R3 zone. Since the single story addition is in the back, it has no street impact. The neighbor's property in the rear is very deep and can't be seen currently, albeit with the summer foliage. The adjacent property upslope also has a minimum view of the addition, and the one across the street really can't see anything. I spoke with the owner at 48 Lucille Street today, who is adjacent to the southeast, which is downslope. She would have liked to have attended today, but was unable to. And as a matter of record, I would like to share with you her concerns as best as I can. In the context of the property, she's was living at 48 prior to the construction of the existing home now at 66 Lucille Street. Given its site position on the street, 66 Lucille does loom large from the perspective of the adjacent downslope property. But the existing house at 66 does meet all the current zoning regulations, not only for the lot size, but the heights and setbacks. So I assured her that the new addition was a single story, and given the architecture of the addition that has sort of a greenhouse aesthetic, both privacy issues and height were a concern for the neighbor. The addition is within the allowed setbacks of 15 feet. Currently, there are evergreen plantings where the line of the new addition is proposed. I assured the neighbor that the addition walls would be no higher than the evergreen closest to the house, which is again single story. And then the privacy concerns both of Craig and Lisa, the homeowners, as well as Elizabeth, the neighbor, are addressed. And in my understanding is that Craig and Lisa will restore an evergreen or privet to give privacy to both their property as well as Elizabeth's property as well. And again, to a concern about any addition blocking light, again, we just have to be sensitive when we put the evergreens back that they're of a height suitable to both give privacy and to reduce any shade on the property. And again, we're just trying to be as best we can good neighbors in that respect. And then And that was really the core of our conversation. She was neither for or against the project when we talked earlier today. But again, I just wanted to voice her concern on record, and that we'll take this into consideration when the landscaping is being restored. As to the raised patio, the proposed raised patio is one step down from the house, really convenient and to feel more part of the interior space. It does contribute to the coverage, but we feel is a more cohesive design, as well as better functioning for going in and out of the kitchen, as well as the proposed new room. So in conclusion, the hardship is that we have an undersized lot. The design is to the rear of the property, and the design is in proportion to the existing structure in a changing neighborhood in Fairfield that, in my opinion, is still in keeping with the general intent of Fairfield zoning. As to the neighbor petitions, I was only able to get one signature, who was the property in the back. Again, the owner across the street really has no impact, and I wasn't able to get the one that is upslope. But again, I had a very nice conversation with the owner of 48 Lucille Street. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Keatle. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Keatle?
I have a question. So I don't mean to ask you to do math aerobics. I don't know if I could do this, but could you give me a kind of your best guess on, if you took away the raised patio, how that would affect how much you'd be going over your lot coverage? Just approximate, like.
Yeah, just bear with me for 1 second, please.
Yeah, and if you can't do it, that's fine.
Yeah, hold on. It may take a second. If there are any other questions while I just look at that math, is that okay? Let me see.
You're fine.
Bear with me 1 moment. The area of that patio is just under 600 square feet. So 600. That would be, just bear with me 1 second, please. Sorry,
I can take my question back.
No, just take 1 more second. I'm sorry, you're watching my math in 362. Okay, I think if I'm doing this correctly, it would, no, actually, it's coming up with 27%, but that can't be right, because existing conditions is 29.2%. So it does contribute some, but I apologize because I'm not sure if I.
Okay, I can take my question back. Math with people watching is difficult.
But I think
yeah, and then also, can you just as a point of reference, the owners of the property, how long have they lived there?
The current owners, I'm not sure. Not long, I don't believe, but I don't think they were the ones who constructed the home. I don't think, but they may have. The home is not that old. Let's look at the tax card, but I think it's quite new. I don't know if Matt knows the date of the building.
I can answer both questions if you want.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
The first question was the percentage. It would be roughly equates to 4% of the lot coverage for the patio.
Okay.
And the current owners moved in or bought the property in December of 2019.
Okay.
Okay. A+ in the math there, Matt. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Keatle from the board? All right, no other questions? Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor or against this application number 1166 Lucille Street? Anyone in favor or against? All right, hearing nothing. The hearing on 66 Lucille Street is now closed. Thank you very much, Mr. Keatle.
Thank you.
Next item is number 12, 645 Fairfield Beach Road. That has been continued to August. On number 13 and 14, Lot A and Lot B, I think we should be taking these together. They have the same address and they're talking about two lots, somewhat similar to the other one on Fairfield Beach Road. So number 13, 49 Vesper Street, Lot A, map 42, parcel 422, petition of John Joseph Zadravec Jr. for a variance of zoning regulations, section 5.1.1 to reduce the lot size and lot square from 6,000 square feet and 60 square feet, proposing 5,000 square feet and 50 square feet, and section 5.2, section 2.7, excuse me, to reduce the street frontage from 60 feet, proposing 50 feet, permission to establish building lot for a single family dwelling, premises B zone, and 1449 Vesper Street, Lot B, map 42, parcel 422, petition of John Joseph Zadravec Jr. for variance of zoning regulations, section 5.1.1, to reduce the lot size and lot square from 6,000 square feet and 60 square feet, proposing 5,000 square feet and 50 square feet, and section 2.7, to reduce the street frontage from 60 feet, proposing 50 feet, permission to establish a building lot for a single-family dwelling, premises B zone. And I think we have Michael Fazio is presenting this for the applicant. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Board. My name is Michael Fazio. At the request in behalf of John Zadravec for the property located at 49 Vesper Street, looking for a variance of the zoning regulations, section 5.1.1, to reduce the lot size and lot square footage from 6,000 square feet and 60 feet of frontage to 5,000 square feet and 50 feet of frontage, and section 2.7 to reduce the street frontage from 60 feet to propose 50 feet. Establish a building. This is to establish a building lot for a single family dwelling in a B zone. I propose to subdivide the site into two building lots within the Residence B zone. The site currently contains an existing single family dwelling, which will be demolished, and I propose to construct a single family dwelling on.
Yes, the case for Zadravec is on, and I don't see it.
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Fazio.
The proposed lots will mirror a number of other parcels that have been granted variances over the past few years. Therefore, the application is entirely consistent with the rest of the neighborhood. The hardship, the granting of the variances will not substantially affect the comprehensive zoning plan of the town of Fairfield and adhere to the strict letter, and adherence to the strict letter of the regulation will cause an unusual hardship to me. I am proposing to subdivide the site into two lots, which are in conformity with the other lots that have been split in the surrounding neighborhood. Not to mention that two family dwellings will occupy more impervious coverage with larger driveways, patios, walkways, and these all require additional drainage and more drainage in separate single-family dwellings. This application is the exact and similar application that was granted to me in January on the adjacent property at 46 Pope Street, which is right to the rear of this property. We're going to build the exact same homes on the property as we're built that are currently constructed or being finished at 46 Pope Street and 40 Pope Street. The house has been received into the neighborhood. We currently have one sold. It'll be closing this month, and the second one we're in negotiations for contract. That concludes my presentation. If there's any questions, I'm glad to answer them at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Fazio. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Fazio? All right, hearing no questions. Are there people that wish to speak in favor or against this application? I know that Attorney Green had submitted something in opposition. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this matter?
Yeah, Mr. O'Connell was also.
Mr. O'Connell, okay. Mr. Green, you yielded the last time. I'll let you go first if you choose.
Yes, I would just, Mr. Chairman, my name is Joel Green. I practice law in Bridgeport with the law offices of Green and Gross. I was retained in the last 2 days by Joseph and Margaret Anania, who own abutting property to the subject properties. I apologize, I had submitted a letter this morning to the board, which I know you have, and I apologize for the late submission. However, I was just retained formally yesterday. I was alerted at approximately 1 o'clock of a potential conflict that I have regarding this matter with respect to my representation of Mr. and Mrs. Anania. Specifically, I heard from Mr. Fazio, and just for the record, my office represents some entities that Mr. Fazio is a principal in. I was unaware from the face of the application that apparently Mr. Fazio is associated with this application. It's not apparent on any of the filings with the board. Under the circumstances, I would ask the board to hold the public hearing open to allow Mr. and Mrs. Anania to obtain alternate counsel and to resolve the conflict. And so I really am not in a position to make any presentation to the board in favor or against this at the moment. And I would ask for the courtesy of holding this matter open. I know that the applicant is eager to proceed, but in fairness to Mr. and Mrs. Anania, they require counsel in this matter. And once again, with the conflict, I really can't proceed at this moment.
Attorney Green, I completely understand that. And you probably don't have time to get waiver from Mr. Fazio and your clients, maybe from your clients, but maybe not a waiver from Mr. Fazio as well. So I can understand that. And what I'd like to do, and I agree, I will hold it open. We have Mr. O'Connell. I don't want to affect him inappropriately. He is here. Let me just find out if there's anyone else that wishes to speak in favor or in opposition to this, and I would take them, and we will have to hold open the hearing. The conflict was raised by Mr. Fazio, and Attorney Green has to respect that raising of a conflict.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So is there anyone else besides Mr. O'Connell? All right, Mr. O'Connell, we'll listen to you. The record will remain open, and we'll supplement the record for further opposition by a new attorney for the Ananias, and we will give Mr. Fazio an opportunity to address those comments. And Mr. Fazio, I would respectfully suggest that you wait to address all opposing comments at one time. That would be my preference, because I don't want to shortcut and close off anyone else that presents, since the public hearing will still be open. All right, go ahead, Mr. O'Connell.
Hi, thank you. First, I just want to ascertain, did you receive the letter I sent and also the petition?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Now, we did that all within a day and a half, and what's happened here with the attorney and now with what we were trying to do. And I had talked to Jim Wendt about this. I received just 2 days ago a letter about this hearing, and apparently there's some kind of glitch because it was mailed last Thursday, but it only got to me on 2 days ago. So we've been running around and trying to put things together and get people to sign a petition. So that's another matter I think needs to be addressed, but there just hasn't been enough time, and it's a very difficult weekend we're coming into. That being said, my initial support, this is my second go around in like 7 months, support of the lots next to me were under a different understanding. And I've come to find that I was told one thing and another thing happened. I'm now dealing with a series of issues because of the enormous structure 6 feet from my property line. Not to mention the flooding issue, which I've been back and forth with the town building engineer because of the basement size and the slope of the lot. And today I took some videos and I'm
Mr. O'Connor, Ms. O'Connell, are you talking about Vesper Street or are you talking about Pope?
I'm connecting it to Pope because it's basically the same issue. We're talking about a sloping, the land sloping down towards my property and now Mr. Anania's property. But the flooding started.
Let's focus on Vesper.
Okay, well it's similar. So my initial support for granting a variance was under a different understanding, and now that I've seen what's happened, I am totally opposed to allowing a variance. And I know that the idea is, well, the builder's just going to build a duplex, which they don't have to build a duplex. They could expand that home and sell it for a nice profit, but I think they have a different motivation. So we and neighbors were opposed to it because we're going to have another 2 of these monstrosities abutting our properties, and then another one across the street because they have another property across the street on Vesper. So I think my letter outlined my objections or our objections, and so my understanding is this is going to be continued. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman?
It's going to remain open. It's not continued. The public hearing has started. It will remain open due to the late notice of a conflict that Attorney Green has representing the Ananias.
Okay.
To allow the Ananias to comment. I'm giving you the opportunity to comment now.
Okay. So my opposition is that it's these homes that have, and I know you want me to address Vesper, but I know what's going up on Vesper. It's what's went up on Pope. And those buildings are not conforming to the neighborhood. They may look kind of like buildings in the neighborhood, but they're nothing in terms of lot coverage and just the sheer size of them. And I don't understand where Mr. Fazio can make a statement saying that it's well received in the neighborhood. He's never talked to me. So if he wants to know how I'm receiving the building that was put up next to my home, then he can maybe have a clear idea of how well received they are. So I stand in opposition with myself and my wife in supporting Mr. Anania and his eventual assertion. So thank you for the opportunity to talk, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connell. The board have any questions for Mr. O'Connell?
Yeah.
Brian?
Mr. Chairman.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Chairman. I do have a question for Mr. Fazio. The question I have is, do you have any renderings for the proposed structures? Anything other than your 2D plot plans?
We do. It's the exact same home that was built at 40 and 46 Pope Street, which is also the exact same homes that were built on Cardinal Street several years ago.
Okay. I'd recommend submitting those. I'd like to just see them. I don't know Pope Street or Cardinal Street.
Okay.
Okay, if there are no other questions, no other comments, this public hearing is going to remain open. Attorney Green, could you just make sure you facilitate that we know who the new representation is of the Ananias?
Yes, of course, and I appreciate the courtesy, Mr. Chairman, and thank you and the board.
Of course, I think we're required at such a late time, something being raised like that, and that's fine. Mr. Fazio is entitled to raise it, and the Ananias are entitled to an attorney. So we
Thank you.
need to do it the right way. Okay. The hearing is not closed. The hearing on 13-14-49 Vesper Street, Lot A and Lot B will remain open to be continued on the August hearing. All right, next item. So please, board members, please save. We have some alternates. So unfortunately, I may need you at least for the one, because we need to have the same group at least for 13 and 14 to hear the opposition. I apologize for that in advance, but nothing we can do about that. So our next item is number 15, 263 Old Dam Road, map 234, parcel 219, petition of Jolene Merritt, trustee, for a variance of zoning regulations section 11.10 to increase lot coverage from 20%, currently 24.9%, proposing 24.4%, and section 11.14.1 to reduce the setback from Pine Creek from 51 feet, proposing 36 feet to the steps and 44 feet to the spa. Permission to legitimize a hot tub and set of stairs from an existing deck premises, BD zone. Attorney Fallon, this is you.
Yes.
And you acknowledge that we only have 4 members on this because Katie is recusing herself.
Yes, for the record, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm John Fallon. I'm here representing the applicant and owner, Jolene Merritt. Jolene is in the call on the meeting, as is our surveyor, Mr. Jim Zumo. I have discussed with her the aspects of the matter pertaining to having 4 members. She understands that requires therefore an affirmative vote of all 4 of the members. And she would like to proceed on that basis. So good afternoon again. The property is located in the Beach District. It was purchased by Ms. Merritt in December of 2016. At the time that she bought the property in December, it was improved with an exterior deck and a hot tub that was then under the existing deck. Both of those elements had existed at the property for many, many years. After moving in early 2017, Jolene hired a contractor to make certain improvements to the house, including the construction of a new set of stairs adjacent to the existing deck, the relocation of a new hot tub as shown on the plans that are submitted to you with this application, and the construction of a retaining wall as also noted on the plans. Those improvements were all in place and completed in the spring of 2017 and remained in place thereafter. The application made to the board seeks variances as referenced in Schedule A to legitimize certain aspects of this work with regard to the overall property coverage pertaining to section 11.10 and the setbacks with regard to the existing hot tub and those existing stairs that I mentioned before. I'd also point out, as is indicated in the material we submitted, that along with those existing stairs, we're proposing new stairs to be extended with regard to this. And that's necessary because the deck, after working with the Planning and Zoning Commission and the department, I should say, and Mr. Decker, Ms. Merritt agreed to remove the retaining wall that had been wrongfully built by the contractor and the attendant fill. And I think Matt can confirm, as can Mr. Zumo, that work has been completed in a very satisfactory manner. But in order now to have access from the deck to what is basically the new ground level after the removal of the fill, we are proposing those additional steps as set forth in our application. So what this basically is about is a good faith property owner who relied on a contractor who told her all permits were in place. And then when she turned around earlier this year, attempting to sell the property so she could rejoin her family in Florida, she found that certain aspects of these matters had not been taken care of. And she's worked with Mr. Decker and also Mr. Gillerin, and those matters are being resolved. But we are here today as to some of those, as I articulated, so that these variances might legitimize certain aspects of that construction as undertaken by the contractor. So from a legal analysis, section 8-6 requires that you make two findings. One, that what we are proposing will not substantially affect in any negative way the comprehensive zoning plan. And that two, there are elements that the law recognizes here as establishing hardship and or other proper bases for the granting of the variance. The one thing I want to say at the outset, because I think it needs to be part of the record, although it is not the basis for the variances we're seeking, are the implications of Connecticut General Statutes 8-13A. I cite that in my material, and basically, as you know, what that basically says is that any structures that are located on a lot in violation of the setback requirements, but then exist at that location on an uninterrupted basis for 3 years, become legally protected. And that's certainly clear here to have implication with regard to those existing stairs that were constructed by the contractor, and certainly the hot tub as well. But notwithstanding that, we want to do this with regard to a variance application that we've made that will legitimize those things. So turning to the statutory provisions, I'd point out that first of all, the use to be made of the property is not going to change. It's a single family residence as absolutely permitted in the zone. The present variances will in no way change the historic use of the property from what's going on now. And obviously, Jolene spoke to her neighbors, and we've submitted a petition that in fact addresses the approval of the neighbors of what we're proposing to do. With regard to hardship, there's a number of factors that I cite in my material that I think are important here. First of all, just one moment, please. I apologize. I just didn't want the noise to interrupt. With regard to hardship, there's a number of factors here that I think are important. First of all, this particular situation, at least in part, arises out of the existing location of a structure, in this case being the deck, that has been located at that location for many, many years. And it is in fact the existing location of the deck that creates the need for the variances as they relate to the steps. And this has certainly been recognized by our courts, and I cite the case law that supports the finding of hardship based upon the existing location of existing steps. The other thing that I think is very important here are the cases that I cite in my material that deal with hardship being established when an owner relies in good faith upon the actions of a contractor who acts in error. In this case, the contractor is long gone, apparently, but whether it was by human error or omission, he failed to abide by the applicable regulations, and that led us to the point where we find ourselves now, trying to legitimize the hot tub. I think under 8-13A is probably legitimate anyway, and the variances for coverage and setbacks pertaining to the steps. The last thing I would say is I cite in my material the Hyatt case, which establishes in other cases that another proper basis for granting a variance is when in fact the result of the granting of the variance will result in a reduction of nonconformities that exist. And I call your attention to the survey, basically by way of the work that has been done under Mr. Izumo's supervision. We're actually reducing the existing lot coverage of 24.9% to 24.4%. And all those cases, Vine and Adelson and Hestock, I think provide a basis for saying that that's an independent reason for granting the variances that we request. So in summary, notwithstanding the provisions of 8-13A, we are asking for the variance here in order to legitimize the location of the hot tub the existing steps, also allowing us to create an extension of those steps so that we can reach ground level now that the retaining wall and attendant fill have been removed. I think the hardship is established based upon the pre-existing location of the deck as it relates to the need to deal with the steps in question, and the fact that the variances requested result and arise from a good faith reliance by Ms. Merritt on the contractor who acted in error by way of placement of these structures without gaining approval. We've discussed it with our neighbors. We are in fact minimally, but nonetheless actually reducing coverage, which again produces another basis for the granting of the variances. So we hope that you will see fit to grant this. Ms. Merritt has been very, very cooperative. I think Mr. Decker will confirm that. Once these things became aware, she's worked very hard and to tirelessly address them. And this would be the last step in the process so that she can move forward with the sale of her house as she's contemplated, so that she can relocate with her family to Florida. So we'd be pleased to answer any questions. Mr. Zumo's on the line if anybody has any technical questions, and we appreciate your attention after this long day.
Thank you, Attorney Fallon. Does the board have any questions for Attorney Fallon, or if it's directed to Mr. Zumo, please ask it through Attorney Fallon first.
I do.
Yep.
So Ms. Merritt is not with us today?
I believe she is. No, she is on the line.
Oh, hello. Okay. Ms. Merritt, are you with us?
I was muted.
It's okay. All right. So I'm just wondering if you could just sort of recount, I know it was a while ago, but 2016, when you were having this work done and you were working with this contractor, can you just recount any conversations you had with him regarding permits, and if you discussed it, and how those conversations went?
I did. I even have text from him. He would call me and text me saying he's at the city getting his permits. I stupidly, I guess, should have asked to see them, but yes, I truly have that. Maybe I could have shared the text. Yeah, I'm at the city. Everything's good. He'd come back. Because when I first wanted to do this, I wanted to just maybe build a little bit bigger deck or something. And he went and said, no, they're not going to be good with the deck, but we're okay to do the fill and the wall.
And move the hot tub and move the hot tub.
Yes. And that's what he did. And he did everything, built everything very well, and he seemed very experienced. I paid him a lot of money, and I'm very upset, to say the least, about this whole circumstance.
Did he provide you with any documentation of any of his work, or did he just give you a bill, just an invoice? He just didn't give you, what did he give you?
Well, he would give me invoices. And sadly, he was kind of turned out to be a little bit of a, I don't know, not the best contractor, as far as he would give me a bill and then he'd start another little project and he'd give me another bill and he'd get the down payment for that while we still had the other one going. He was one of those. And actually I ended up, all in all, at one point getting just burned by him by a few $1,000s as it was way back when, and was too exhausted to pursue anything, so I didn't. But no, it still never raised any issues or any concerns that he did anything without permits that would have possibly needed permits. I moved here from California, and I mean, it was just, to me, it was just sort of common sense. Like, okay, we're doing something, we should probably get permits, right? Oh yeah, no problem. It's all done. I've got it covered. And that's all he would tell me over and over and over.
When Jolene became aware of this for the first time was when she had an offer to purchase the property, and the buyer's attorney investigated. And once she became aware, she immediately proceeded and has aggressively proceeded to address the matter with the zoning office, the building department, and now before you here today.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's all, the wall's already out, and we've done everything they've asked. I've done everything they've asked.
Thank you.
So.
Okay. And I guess you're not working with this, and obviously you're not working with this contractor anymore.
No, no, I haven't in a very long time. That was sort of the beginning and end of him. But
thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Nope.
All right, no other questions. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor or in opposition to this matter? It's 263 Old Dam Road. Okay. Hearing none, the hearing now on 263 Old Dam Road has been concluded. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Merritt, thank you. With the board, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We will return at 4:22. Okay. 4:17, sorry.
Take whatever you give, Mr. Chairman.
It's Daphne, Faith, Brian, Katie. Oh, nope, Katie just moved. Brian, you're fourth. Daphne, Faith, Katie, Brian, then me. So.
I may be in fourth in position, but we'll see where I come in the move.
Matt, are we ready?
Yes, you are, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Yep.
Calling back to order zoning board of appeals, Fairfield. It's our working session. We're taking up the matters that went forward today. And in order, and as I indicated, the voting order as on my screen, Katie moved a little bit, but she's still third. So it's Daphne, Faith, Katie, Brian, then me in voting. All right, so first item on the continued docket number 2, 654 Tungus Hill Road, that has been continued to August. First matter for business is general docket number 1, 73 Thorpe Street. It's a petition of Betty Green Gigliotti, and it's Attorney Fallon presented this, and it's to construct a 2-family dwelling. Entertain. Wait a second. Got to keep notes. There it is.
So
entertain a motion to approve. Brian, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie. Okay, discussion.
Seems like a reasonable use for the property. This is the one that came before us once before. I think the concessions made in the current design answer everything that was asked of the builder.
It drops pretty substantially, and listen to the two concerns of a little bit more green space and moving the building back. So listen to both the concerns. So I think it's appropriate. I mean, the difficult part is commercial on the first floor, in that area on Thorpe Street. It just that in itself is odd for that particular piece of property there. So,
I think also
any other?
If you drive down Thorpe Street, the whole side of the road is practically all families. I think it's very appropriate.
Yeah, you have some of the other buildings, but it's a lot of houses down there. So.
Yeah, and also the alternative, I think there's, she could be doing something much bigger than she's doing.
Yeah.
Seems good to me.
All right.
Yep.
Bring it to a vote. Daphne?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Katie? Katie, yes?
Yes.
Brian?
Uh-huh.
Yes for me. That passes. Number 2, 158 Robin Lane. It's New Beginning Properties. This is for permission to construct an attached 1-car garage. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Brian. Second. Thank you, Daphne. Discussion?
Can we just transpose the comments from the previous application to this one and say
Well,
that they made the necessary concessions?
They lowered it. They lowered it down, made it smaller. Listened to what we had to say of having too big a garage on the other side of the property. I get that those old garages that go underneath part of the building, are almost non-usable. Might as well have a big Bilco door to get to your basement. But any other comments?
No.
All right, bring it to a vote. Daphne?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Brian?
Yep.
I say yes. That has passed. Thank you, ladies, for listening to us the last time. Number 3, 294 Colony Street. This is Corey and Kaylee Chow. Ms. Chow presented this, and it's to construct a detached garage. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Daphne, that was yours. Is there a second?
Yep.
Thank you, Katie. All right, discussion.
Third in a row, 3 strikes. Listen to some of the criticism of the people that they needed to listen to. Made a couple of changes, and I think they have a reasonable request.
Yeah, the corner lot, they removed the lot coverage issue, and now they just have the sideline setback. So, good listening. Bring it to a vote. Daphne?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Katie? Brian?
Yes.
I say yes, that passes. Number 4, 1262 Post Road. Attorney Fitzpatrick presented this for LJG 1262 Post Road, Fairfield. This is to the old post office on the Post Road to establish medical use, and they need a parking variance. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Daphne. Discussion? Daphne, you
Yeah,
had a
so
question
I'll
about-
start. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of what they want to do. I think there's a lot of issues, but none of those issues really have anything to do with how we need to vote for ZBA. So even though I have issues about it, I feel like they have, done what they needed to do to, get those required parking spaces and have that agreement. So I feel like they actually did a good job of presenting the case. And even though I personally don't think it's a great idea, and I think that there's a lot of issues, I think from a legal standing, I would vote in favor of it.
Thank you. Yeah, they answered the question. It's only 20% to walk in. So, and I think Attorney Fitzpatrick addressed the concern about the 15, the parking regulations include, assume that also includes the.
Well, my other questions I asked don't have really a place at ZBA, so that's fine.
Okay. All right. Any other comments? All right, bring it to a vote. Daphne?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Katie? Brian?
Yes.
I say yes. That passes. Number 5, 334 Roland Road. Ms. Higgins, you presented the application. It's to construct a detached 2-story, 2-car garage. And there was some opposition, Mr. Smith and Attorney Green as well. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Daphne. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All right, discussion.
I thought Ms. Higgins did a very good job in presenting her case. I was really impressed. There's good information on both sides. So I'm sort of thinking it through still, but I really thought Ms. Higgins did a great job.
I have one question for the chair. States, someone mentioned a kitchenette. I did not see that on the plans, but I'm wondering if that enters into the violation or question of accessory structure, the ones that are only supposed to go in AAA zone. I didn't think there was supposed to be, or is it kitchen and bathroom are required for that?
I can't find the plans. Matt, can you help me on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is no kitchenette. It's a wet bar. and it would need a full kitchen and bedroom in order for it to become a dwelling. It does
Okay.
not have a bedroom, and it does not have any cooking in the wet bar. So it's not a kitchen. Even if it says kitchenette, it's not a kitchen under my regulations.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify and make sure that that was on the record.
Yep. Yeah, I've already looked at the plan, so there's nothing in place to even be put there.
Okay.
All right, other discussion?
It sounds to me like, if I understand it correctly, the current setback from the neighbor is not changing. It's still 2.1. And they're under coverage and they're under FAR still.
Yes, the FAR, they're at 21 and a half. They can go up to 40%. At lot coverage, they're at 13.7. They can go up to 20%. It's a large lot. It's a narrow lot,
Right.
which is the issue of the sideline setback, in my opinion. That's where I think we have some issues that benefit Ms. Higgins. The case law, it doesn't matter how old it is. If it hasn't been overturned, it's still good case law. So I've cited 1,800 cases in court that are still good law, unfortunately. So, yeah, they haven't thought to change them. The issue that I find is that, the question of going straight up, it's always an issue that we have. And I think it's reasonable in this scenario because of the narrowness of the lot. It's a long, narrower lot it's almost double the size. It's the minimum that they need down there.
Yeah, and I think it does. I do think it fits in with the neighborhood the way it's going. So,
all right, bring it to a vote. Daphne?
yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Katie? Brian?
Yes.
I say yes. That passes. Number 6, 1240 Fairfield Beach Road. Mr. Feshko and Attorney Gumper presented this. We have to take them up. It's similar to number 7, but we do have to take them up separately. 1240 Fairfield Beach Road, which is the creek side, and it's to establish a lot with an existing single-family dwelling. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Daphne. All right, discussion.
I think Katie made the best point of this. It's two entirely different and disparate pieces of property for all records purposes in the town. It just simply requires the snip of this last piece. That being said, I'm not a huge fan of there being a lot of that size that could be built even in one of those, large skinny type deals. But that wouldn't be prevented by this anyway, and they'd always have to bring it to us. So it works.
Any other comment? All right, Daphne?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
I say yes. 1241 Fairfield Beach Road, permission to establish a lot existing with an existing single-family dwelling. Attorney Gumper presented that as well for Mr. Feshko. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. There's a second.
Second.
Thank you, Katie. All right. Discussion.
Replay the tape. One
As
goes
we've
with the other.
We just said as to 1240, and this is on the sound side on this piece. So,
yeah.
All right, bring the vote. Daphne?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
I say yes. That passes. Number 8, 714 Valley Road. Summit Investment, Mr. Moses presented this. It's to construct a second floor addition. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Daphne. Is there a second?
Second.
Is that Faith? Yeah, okay. All right, discussion?
It's a reasonable request.
You'd almost think with the driveway that they should be coming from Woodbine.
Yeah.
Valley Road. I mean, literally, it looks like there's almost two roads next to each other. It was just constructed very tight to that side. All right, bring it to a vote. Daphne?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
I say yes. Number 9, 340 Riverside Drive. It's a petition of Miss Hannah. She presented it to construct a rear shed dormer. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Who said that? Faith?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Discussion?
Just a simple dormer. I mean, nothing that's going to change anything in the neighborhood or do anything significant. It's reasonable.
Yeah, and it was tight to 350. They have the dormers as well on that on the side. This dormer goes to the back. So bring it to a vote. Daphne?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Katie?
Yeah.
Brian?
Yep.
I say yes. Number 10, 34 Dalewood Avenue has been continued. Number 11, 66 Lucille Street. Mr. Keatle presented this. It's for Craig and Lisa Massaro. It's to construct a rear story addition with a raised patio. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I think Daphne got that. Second. Brian is seconding. Okay. Discussion?
I was trying to talk to Katie.
Yeah, but with increasing lot coverage, always hard for me to be in favor of those. So that's all I'm going to say about that. It's just they haven't had the house for very long, and I'm just not a big fan of increasing the lot coverage of us approving those kinds of requests.
Well, your question was on point because the raised patio is about 4%. I let Matt take the credit, but I was doing the calculations.
Oh my God. Like I felt bad asking, but I knew there was no way I could.
No, so I mean it's almost it would still be over.
Right.
But it's real close. It's when you take it out, you put it back in, it's around 4%, maybe a little less.
So I just felt like they asked a little too much. If you just, it's just always trying to, if you're going to ask for a variance, just try to ask for as little as you need, really need. So
they asked for the raised patio. It would be similar to asking for the deck that would be connected and flush. So the raised patio, I think, might be a little bit more attractive in my opinion.
The other question about the raised patio that I had, I didn't get out and look at the topography of it, but if there's any slope to that land or any inconsistency, the raised patio would be more amenable to me. And I think I agree with the look of it. I don't think it's an out of line ask. I understand the concern of increasing coverage, but I don't think it's something at 4% that is entirely out of line. If they were building up directly over that and we're adding, FAR or something, I'd have a much bigger problem with it. But I think it's the right solution for the space they have.
but they have to do it. So none of these things are things that people have to do. So, and I just think of zoning board of appeals, I don't know, these are optional optional things in a lot of cases. And we have regulations on the books to keep things, for good reasons. So.
Hey, Matt, can I ask you a question? Was this a pre-existing non-conforming lot?
It's about almost 5,500 square feet under the required 20,000 square feet.
So if this was a properly sized lot, we're not even talking about this, right?
Well, if you want to give me 1 second, I mean, I have to do my math again.
He's gonna pull a rabbit out of his hat.
I'm just curious if it's.
Yeah, just if the chairman is okay, if you just give me 1 quick second.
They need 20,000 square feet and they're a little over 14,000 square feet. It's the minimum required lot size.
Yeah, so it actually scales almost perfectly if my math is done right in my head.
Yeah, so 19.
You're about 25% off.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yep. Okay, I'm good. Matt, don't worry about it.
Okay, yep, yeah. So
all right.
You already did your miracle math today.
yeah, I was 2 seconds away before I was told to stop.
All right, this brings up about Daphne.
No.
What's that?
I said no.
I thought so. Faith?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
I say yes, 4-1, that passes. Number 12, 645 Fairfield Beach Road has been continued to August. Number 13 and 14, we started the hearing. It's remaining open until August. And remember, I'm going to need the alternates to at least sit on that. I do know that we have one member that is missing August, so I will need an alternate for that anyway. So one of the three has to be there for the whole thing, at least as of right now. But the other two, I apologize, but since it was raised, Attorney Green is doing the right thing, and he doesn't have any choice. So we're going to allow that to remain open. I know we don't normally do that, but it wasn't raised until after the presentation started. Number 15, 263 Old Dam Road. Petition of Ms. Merritt. Attorney Fallon presented this. It's to legitimize hot tub set of stairs from existing deck. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Daphne. Discussion?
Well, so I really appreciated Ms. Merritt's remarks, and it does seem like she asked all the right questions of the contractor. I mean, she could have, I don't know, double checked, I guess, called the town, but I don't know how many people really do that. So, she seemed earnest in her, recollection of how everything happened, and it seems like she's doing everything to rectify it and making, making decisions to take back what she can do. So, I'm in favor of to approve it. I think she's doing everything she can. It is just unfortunate that she was dealing with a contractor who sounds like just lied and was not doing a very good job.
Yeah, that's a problem. And she has actually reduced one of the nonconformities too.
Right. Right. So
not just saying, please forgive me, but going a little bit further to reduce a nonconformity.
Okay. Yep.
Bring it to a vote. Daphne?
Yes.
Faith?
Yes.
Brian?
Yep.
I say yes. That passes. We only had 4 voting members. So... Uh-oh. Hello?
Yeah.
My screen went blank, but you can hear me?
Yep.
We can see you and hear you.
Oh, I can't see anything. I don't know what happened to my computer.
Well, we can't see you now.
Can you hear me still?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, plug it in fast.
Thank you. That concludes the hearing. Have everyone have a safe 4th and try to avoid the traffic in Fairfield for the fireworks.
Happy 4th, everybody.